Hey everyone, this is Martin. This is part 10 or 11 of the C++ OpenGL FPS Game Engine devlog. This is the second time I'm recording this video because, like an idiot, I just went and clicked on stop over here when I'd been recording for about 10 minutes. So, oh my gosh, I need more coffee. What an idiot. Anyway, this video is just me going over how I found a memory leak and the tools that I used within Visual Studio, and me just making a little bit of a note to myself so that I can come back to this down the line and see what I did, because yeah, if you're not always doing certain things all the time, it slips out of your brain. So okay, first off, well, let's just build the app, and I'll show you where I was up to last time in terms of noticing the memory leak, noticing the increase of memory being used. So if I click on here as well, in fact, so you can hopefully you can see this task manager as well. I'll use both tools, but what we'll see is that the memory is not getting released. So game development project, down here on the bottom left, I am using, or I was using, both Visual Studio Memory Tracker, but also this one here as well. This one seems to, sorry, I don't want to trail off too much here, but this 29.7 you can see here, for some reason, is much lower than this 51 that's been reported here. I don't know why. I don't know what this difference is. Anybody out there knows? I've not Googled it. I don't know what the difference is, but they do track, as in they both go up when the next level is loaded, and in fact I'll do that in a second, and they do go down when the level is unloaded. But I don't know why one is at 51 here or whatever that is, and why the other one is at 29.7. Somebody tell me. Anyway, first tools. This diagnostic one, this is how I found the memory leak, and this is what I did. Memory usage, take a snapshot. You might need to enable heap profiling first if this blue text doesn't appear. This is Visual Studio 2022. Take the snapshot. Okay, we've got it there. Heap size 10 meg. Alright, what I'm going to do, go back into the app and click on, where's my little, just get my console up just so I can see stuff happening. It'll take a second to load. I've not done the optimization for level loading yet. I seem to be going down a bit of a bloody rabbit hole at the moment with this memory leak optimization, heap optimization stuff, and I need to get onto actually making a game. I don't know about everyone else, but I tend to go down these little holes, and partly it's because I've not got someone pushing me, like a producer or a designer, saying, hey, do this, get this done by this date. It's me just going on my own little adventures, and for better or for worse. Anyway, I think it's good to have somebody pushing you, telling you what to do next, because I'm really bad at that when it comes to my personal projects. I'm terrible at knowing what to do next and pushing myself to do that thing. I go down tangents and I stop projects, and tell me if anybody else is the same. Anyway, sorry, little rant there. Let's go back to the menu. You can see everything's unloaded. Let's go back into Visual Studio. We'll take another snapshot, and we can see it's gone up by what is that, a meg? So it should be at around 11 now. What was it, 29.6 before in the task manager, and now it's 36.7. This might drop down. Oh, it's 51 before on the, there you go. Yeah, so it's dropped down, but so that was the level loaded. It's dropped down to 59, but it was 51 before, so we've got an extra 2 meg here. If you click on these tools here, this is how I found the problem and where it lied. I don't know if I'm going to find it now, but if you click on this up arrow here, we've got an extra 1500 allocations and an extra meg of heap memory being used. We'll be able to see the comparison between the two snapshots. I don't know if I'm using this tool exactly right, but this is kind of how I figured it out, and I was just clicking around basically. But you see here, I'll just stop the app for a second. Here we're comparing with the baseline of snapshot 1, and here the count difference is the column that I was looking at. So if I sort by this one, I can see here I've got an extra 40 allocations of this default motion state compared to the first snapshot. Okay, 26, I've got an extra 26 container proxies. I don't know what that means exactly, probably a vector. And this is what I was doing. I was just digging around here. New allocation count. I don't know. These are the specific ones, I guess. I'm not sure. Size by bytes. We've got a character array here. Well, if you double click on it as well, and again, you can sort by size on here and click on one of the lines, it actually can show you the allocation call stack, which was very handy. So I know this BT is bullet. I didn't make this solver constraint, so this is part of the bullet library. If I go back, update, there you go, physics manager update, I know that that is part of the engine that I wrote from the Udemy course, of course. And this is now into the bullet physics stuff. Now, probably what's happening is I'm not releasing it correctly. I would very much think that that is the case, that I need to unload bullet somehow. I need to do some research on how that works, because the course was just loading a single level. So anyway, let me see if I can find where my specific problem was. It was literally just me kind of like digging around here and just seeing what I could find, really. That's all it was, honestly. Just, okay, click, click, click. Let's just see what stands out. Shader key, I noticed that this is caching. So this is one thing. If I go to my graphics API here, and one of the things that it is doing, if I go to the definition, this is the definition. No, go to definition. No, that's the declaration. I always get those two confused. Anyway, we're creating a shader program. We're caching it here. So it's doing all of the compile the vertex shader, compile the fragment shader, compile the programs, link the programs, and then finally adding that to a cache, a vector basically with a key and then the actual shader program. The shader program being a class that has been made within the engine, not the shader program on the GPU. It just has a reference to the ID of the shader program on the GPU. Anyway, that's besides the point. The point is that it's caching, and this doesn't unload between the scene loads. So scene 1, menu scene, it loads the shader. Scene 2 loads, it loads the shaders for the second scene and then keeps them within this cache even when I go back to the first scene. So that's why there's a bit of an extra volume of heap allocation there, a little bit more memory being used. Now, my weird mind says to me, oh, I want everything completely clean. So if the main menu is taking up 1 meg of total memory, RAM and VRAM, when I come back to the main menu after loading a bunch of scenes, it should still just be 1 meg. Yes or no? I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little bit too, I don't know if pedantic or is the right word there, but I don't know if I'm being too over the top. I should just get the game built, and not worry too much. Just don't worry about that stuff. Or, should I, figure this out now and then, if it becomes a problem down the line, handle it then? Because this is going to take me another 10 years just to get something out the door. If I keep going down these little rabbit holes. Anyway, sorry, little rant again, going in my own separate rabbit hole in this talk. Texture sticking around there as well, as you can see. Now, there was, oh boy, I can't remember where it was now. There was a mesh thingy though. I don't know which one it was, guys, but just for, very, very roughly, I went down a few of these, double clicked them, went down this allocation route here, and then looked down to see, what was going on here. And then by chance happened to notice that in the mesh component, or the mesh class, that we weren't unloading the meshes. So you can see this code here, I've just commented it out for the demonstration of this video. But we're loading a bunch of vertex data onto the GPU. So you see here we're generating the buffer, the vertex array, binding the vertex array here, and then we are adding the attribute pointer, and then somewhere we're filling up the data. EBO. Oh, I thought there was like a data part here. That might be somewhere else. Vertex array. It might already been filled up. What I'm thinking of is where is the bind the vertices, tell the GPU how to interpret, bind the indices, and bind the via, enable the vertex layout, e.g. layout equals 0. So I don't know where that is, but the part where it was putting the vertex data actually onto the GPU, it's like this. It's like you say how big it is, and then you point it to the data on the CPU, and then that gets transferred over to the GPU. Anyway, I'll have to dig into that somewhere else another time. But it wasn't letting go of it, so I added in the destructor here, and let's just take a look at our snapshot again very briefly. Will it tell me the size difference without going to the? I can't remember now. No, I don't think I can. What was it? 51 when we first loaded, and it was 59 the second time around. I think it was that. Let's try this again. But it was fairly chunky. Why can't I use Control /? It will not let me do that. Can I just go backwards? There we go. All right, let's try this again. So I think it was 51 the first time we loaded the main menu, and then we came back and it was 58. So it was an extra like 7 meg or whatever from within the Visual Studio Diagnostics. What I found is by doing this, making sure that we are deleting the vertex arrays, and the buffers is probably the big one. This is, the actual vertex data on the GPU between scene loads. We're making sure that's not lying around in memory. Now let's do this again with a snapshot first. What have we got here? We've got 51, is it? Yeah, you go, just around 51 meg. Let's take a snapshot. See, this is where I'm getting confused as well. Again, I'm going off on a tangent. Sorry, guys. Oh, this little pip, by the way, that little pip shows you where the snapshot happened. Value 46 meg there. Okay. Why is this not 46 meg? Opens heap view. This is, what is that, 10 meg? That's 46. So that's where I'm a little bit confused. Like this process memory, this must include the text, like the entire usage of RAM. So the text area which contains the code, the static memory, as in static values, constants and so forth, the stack itself, which grows from the bottom of the, well, it starts at the highest memory value and then works its way backwards, plus VRAM, maybe, stuff that's on the GPU, I don't know. But the heap size itself is 10 meg. So that's something, if anybody knows, please tell me. Anyway, I'm rambling. Let's just, I'll just move this up here a second. Let's just grab the console and let's load that scene again. And let's just see if the memory is reduced. And after all of this rambling on this video, if it doesn't go back to the same sort of 51 meg, then or 46 meg, then I don't know what I've just done. Who knows? Magic, C++ magic. Anyway, there we go. Loaded. Let's just go back to the menu again. And let's grab another snapshot and take a snapshot. There you go. You may, I don't know if I said it before, but you may need to enable this heap profiling here if the take a snapshot button doesn't appear. Okay. Now there you go. Only 486K higher as opposed to the 1 meg that we were seeing before, I think. So that's quite a difference. Now I was hoping that this would update a little better. For some reason the process memory doesn't seem to work very well there. But let's just try it without doing a snapshot, just to maybe illustrate a little bit clearer. I don't know why the tools go a little bit funky there. It's happened a few times with those diagnostics. Maybe because I'm taking a snapshot. I'm not sure. Let's do this anyway. Let's just see what we're up to. So again, I was just looking at the memory usage here, and I was just noticing that it was sticking to around 51 here, and it should up to that in a second. There you go, 51, even though this is actually 46, but anyway, there you go, 51. Let's just play this. climbing, 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 way too high in my opinion. I think this is bullet physics in my opinion. I think there's just it's a big old library load that. I have got another scene which is much more trimmed down, and that's going to be my next thing to work on in terms of seeing where things are being allocated. But there we go, we've gone. Where is it? Where's my menu? And let's just go back to the menu there. Let's see this go down again. It does take a moment. It doesn't instantly go down. That was the other thing I noticed as well. So if you are like looking at this, thinking, oh, why is it not dropping? There you go. It's just dropped down. So 55, 49. There you go. So that drop is much healthier. That's much closer to what it was. It was 46 before, wasn't it? So an extra 3 meg. Whereas the first time around, it was what, 59? So an extra 10 meg. And so if I go to 49 again, let's play it again. The other thing that I was noticing as well, and sorry I've not demonstrated it here before I uncommented that code, was each time I was going back into the menu, it was climbing and climbing and climbing, an extra 10 meg every time. So these buffers here were not being released. Those meshes on the GPU were not being released. Let's go back again, back to the menu. So it's just climbing and climbing and climbing. And it still has some memory leaks in here, so I've got to figure that out. Or do I? Do I have to figure it out? Should I just get the game done? Should I just actually start getting a game together? What do you think, guys? Please, somebody give me some direction. There you go, 49 meg again, it went down. So it's gone back to the same level it was before. So that includes shaders that get cached. It includes some classes around materials that I need to clean up as well. And that's going to be my next step. So that, note to self and note to everybody, I suppose, is make sure that you're deleting your buffers after they've been used, or that's just going to hang around in memory. Now, it hangs around a GPU memory, but I'm assuming that diagnostic tool there and this one includes GPU memory. Is it shared memory on laptops, which uses an integrated GPU? I don't know. I need to figure that out. I'm not sure. But the next step is, and this is where I want a bit of advice, guys. Let me just get rid of these snapshots. So leaving that in, let me go back to my main menu components, not mesh. Let me go down, main menu component. This is where I'm doing the scene loading. What I've got here is a level simple that just loads a ground mesh. That's all it does. Let me just get my heap memory allocation thing back here again. And this is where I would like some advice or some opinions on what to do next. If anybody is getting to the end of these videos, well done, my gosh. You're just listening to me ramble for 30 minutes at a time, and you're a saint if you are making it this far. Please tell me if you did make it this far, just pop a comment below. But my next step is to figure out where this extra allocation is happening. Part of this, even though the allocation is small, I just want to understand what's happening. I think that's part of it. I want to understand at a low level in C++ land, in memory land, where is my memory getting allocated? What's going on? That's part of my motivation behind this. So if I go here, 1090.888, okay, click on play. Let's remember 1090.888. I should remember that because I've been looking at it loads. Ah, shoot, it's just stopped. It does this sometimes, and I don't know why. Let me just get rid of this again. I don't know why that happens. I have to restart it, which is very odd. There's nothing that should be sticking around in static memory, or maybe it's a timing issue. I don't know. Potentially. I know timing issues can be very difficult to debug if one time it works, the second time it doesn't because of workload on the CPU. Anyway, 1090.888 current heap allocation. There you go. Now it's doing something. This will take a little longer because of all of this spam. So let's CCC again. It's just going to load this level with a ground. It should have a ground in there. No, not that one. No. Why does it keep on going to there? I don't know. I don't know why it's doing that. Let's just go back anyway. 1090, it should be there again. Oh, here. Oh, yeah, this is it. This has gone up. So let's just remember the 4464. Okay. Let's play it again. Oh gosh. Anyway, I won't restart. That's so annoying. Anyway, this 1090 4464. This is the level that it sticks at. So if I go into the main game with just the ground plane, come back to the menu several times, on and on and on, it's always this 10946664 heap usage. So it's not leaking anymore. It's just added some stuff when it's loaded, and it's just caching, but it's not leaking. So it never drops down to that 1090 again. Now I guess my next thing in my head is, why is that happening? I have an idea that it's coming from the material that is loaded in this, where is it now? Level simple. So this material here, this material class, when this is in the level JSON, excuse me, it loads a material component onto the ground object so that you can actually see it, and it doesn't let go of stuff. And I think that's because it's not got a destructor on it, because it's not got a we're caching the shaders. There's a couple of things. So I've got to look into this. Now there's two sides of me thinking here is, okay, it's only, what was it, 1090.888 and then what, 1094.464, so it was only an extra 4K, whatever it is, of extra memory used on the heap. Now that's obviously a small amount of memory. It's not gonna explode. Should I go down that rabbit hole and figure that out and understand where that's happening? Probably yes. So that I can say, okay, this material is being instantiated, this material class. It's not got a destructor on it. That's why it's not getting destroyed. That's why the memory is climbing. Or should I just forget about it and actually get the damn game built? You know what I mean? Actually get something playable on screen as opposed to going down these little memory rabbit holes. I would like to know what you think, guys. Anybody who's made to this far, you know, I part of my problem that I have with personal projects is my lack of direction, my lack of somebody telling me to just go do this, do that next. You know, that's maybe a lot of devs suffer that problem. When you're doing personal projects, it's all easy when it's the honeymoon period of a project and you can just build stuff and it's exciting. But then as soon as it becomes a little bit more less interesting, then it's easy to move on to something else and you forget it. Whereas if you're getting paid for this and your boss is telling you to do it, you're doing it. You got no choice. Well, you have a choice, you know what I mean, but you're gonna do it. You're getting paid to do it, and you get, you know, producers or a boss or whatever, and they'll tell you what has to be done. So anyway, that was my big old rant. I might do a little video next on my thoughts on AI. I did want to do something that was less kind of just looking at code. But yeah, hopefully I'll get another one out soon. But cheers, guys. If you made this far, you are absolutely a hero. Please let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you next time. Bye bye.